Hello,
Oh boy.
everybody, and welcome to the week number 1 of NPCC
NPCC.
Power Rankings, and you are here with Coach Oak, and
Tsunami. Temp
so
number 2.
we are going to run through our list of rankings. We're going to run through on my list from number 16 to number 1, and we will explain, obviously when we talk about number 16 on my list, we'll explain who is at where that team is on Tsunami's rankings as well. Plot twist, we only have 4 people in the same spot, so that will be different. So,
Because bear in mind, this is week 1, so, all we have to go off is prep, play, and how they feel about the team for some people. So it's very interesting. Things are going to be thrown everywhere. As the season goes on, I'm sure things will streamline between our lists, become very similar, because we have everything relatively the same, barring two people. Everything relatively the same. They're just like a bit off-centered from each other, if that makes sense. So why don't we start with your number 16, Deportivo Primarinas,
yes.
who I have at number 13. So bit of a jump, but relatively the same. What do you have to say? Why are they your 16th?
I know we are going to disagree on this point, but I just felt like they really got beat in prep really badly. I didn't have too many problems with the play. But they only brought one thing to stop Heatran, for example, and it was the obvious bring to stop Heatran, and then HP Grass on Heatran just made there no more thing to hurt Heatran. Espeon putting up a sub instantly was a massive problem that they couldn't really deal with, and it was just little things like that was just very add one move onto prep on the other side for the Linoons, who they played, and their prep got destroyed. I thought they played fairly well, but they didn't have enough that they were able to hang around in this battle, and that's why I left you at number 16.
I definitely agree that prep could have been better. I don't think it was terrible. Definitely the play. I thought there was an unfortunate crit to start off the match, which never fun. Critting the Reuniclus. Definitely had potential to either Trick Room or out heal the Hyper Voice and regenerate or back up. I like the play. I think at the beginning there was a lot of switching happening with such as the Golbat and the Skarmory and then the Aegislash. And I think that at that point in the match, you were slightly ahead even though you were down him on that. You were keeping him a bit on his toes. He expected the Aegislash to come out and instead the Golbat was there, I believe is what happened. Golbat set on its own is interesting. I didn't like the lack of taunt, so you weren't able to really 1v1 the Skarmory. You were calling his plays such as the Scalding against the Kyurem, knowing he'd switch into Espeon, fearing rocks. The Scolipede switch, however, onto the Espeon, I did not agree with. Even if he hadn't set up sub, his most likely play was to go for Psychic, and as you find out next turn, Scolipede does not take the Psychic well at all. Be careful with the Seismitoad. Quad weakness, very exploitable. But overall, I think he played fine and that the prep was okay. I just think that a few lackluster spots here and there is really what cost you.
Yep.
All right, then let's move on to your number 15, my number 16. Unfortunately, on the other end of hats, the Chicago Bewares. Chicago Bewares bringing Swampert, Darkrai, Zygarde 50, Celesteela, Sylveon, Kadabra.
You got 6-0'd, so being near the bottom or at the bottom is to be expected. I do think it could have not been a 6-0. If you had hit that T-Wave with Kadabra, it definitely would have been able to necessarily not be a 6-0. However, you did miss, and you got 6-0'd by a really good team and really good play. You just didn't quite have enough for how impressive they were.
Chicago Bewares, definitely the big thing to note is the Thunder Wave. I know it probably doesn't feel good to hear it over and over again, but that was definitely one of the defining moments in the match. Starting off with your lead, you'll disagree, and I'm sure a lot of other people do, but I think that Rocks would have been pretty big in this game. So I don't think I agree with Swampert being the one put to sleep there. I would have rather it be Celesteela, because getting Rocks up for breaking Sash on Smeargle, getting Vikavolt and Marowak especially, Vikavolt, and you feel that when it's AV Vipervolt and Dark Pulse does not kill. So Rocks definitely would have helped in that situation. I don't see why you didn't have Earthquake for the Marowak. Leech Seed, Air Protect, Toxic, Air Slash. I don't know. It's a pretty standard set, and I don't think it was the right bring this week. Smeargle just was not prepped for like parting shotting around, getting momentum, getting webs up, and most of all, like don't play on tilt. Like with the T-Wave miss, you went in. He went into Vikavolt when he should have just gotten damage off, and with the Vikavolt, the HP Ice to just like keep a level head. I don't think it would have affected much, but like just like just for future reference. And I can definitely see you crawling out. Like you were for us like a consensus top 1 or 2 for the league in our post draft. So I definitely see you crawling out of this.
I think you definitely can turn this around and have a very good season.
Moving on, at number 14, my number 11, we have that's the Battlefield Torcats.
Your number 15.
Moving on to your number 14, my number 15, we have the Detroit Lighthearts.
You almost got a promotion.
What'd you say?
You almost got a promotion.
Yeah, almost. So close. Detroit Lighthearts, bringing Mega Gardevoir, Excadrill, Slowbro, Roserade, Dragonite, and Gyarados.
You lost your Poison type and Hazard stacking battle at the start, and also in the process lost your only real answer to Scarf Bulu. And then if you lose your only answer to Scarf Bulu, you lose to Scarf Bulu.
There it is.
That's
Transitive
the match
property.
in a nutshell.
Yeah, definitely. Having Toxic Spikes and against 2 Poison types definitely didn't help, as they were very easily avoided, and Togetic being flying didn't stick around too long. When you're up against the Garbodor and you see the Pain Split, I feel like what you should have done is get the second layer of Toxic Spikes up, and you feel the repercussions of that when Starmie isn't taking exponential damage and is able to stick around to get rid of your Dragonite and your what else did he get rid of? Dragonite. Maybe got rid of something else. I didn't agree with that play, by the way. You have Starmie against Gyarados, and the Thunderbolt is so obvious. And even though it's multi-scale, Starmie has such good coverage that there's probably an Ice Beam in the back too. Excadrill, I feel, was always the play to make there. If it were Thunderbolt like it was, it would have just taken nothing. It's immune. And if you were expecting maybe a Rapid Spin, then it would have eaten that up. He had no reason to go for Ice Beam in that situation, or Scald, because both of those are resisted by Gyarados. So I don't see why you didn't go into your Scarf Excadrill. And overall, I'd say losing Dragonite, he was like, aside from Roserade, your answer to Scarf Bulu at quad resisting Woodhammer. Now you just have a big problem. Like even if it wasn't Scarf Bulu, Nidoking, Sheer Force Life Orb, tearing through Slowbro with the Earth powered Excadrill being Choice Lock just didn't help it out. Gardevoir going down, it just wasn't a good time once your more defensive Mons started going down.
All right, let's move on to number 13, the Battlefield Torracats, who you have in at number 11.
Yes, they're my number 11. Battlefield Torracats. It was a good match, I'd say. What about you?
Yeah, it was definitely a good match.
This match. Okay, I remember now. Interesting match. Sorry. I was like, I'm confusing my team now at this point. This is the second time we're recording this.
Yeah, for those who
Battlefield Torcats
might not know, we recorded a wonderful one first, and it didn't actually record, and my recorder is now giving me issues, and we're getting tired, and yeah, you're gonna get all the same stuff, but we've now said it probably 3 times, so.
Mm-hmm. So, Battlefield Torcats. Interesting battle because it didn't finish. There was a DC that happened, and Circumstances led to the battle not being able to be finished. The two coaches, Ty and Scruffy Fox, did a bit of theory modding and decided to give the 2-0 win to Vulpix City. Looking at it, bringing Weavile, Latias, Lucario, Regirock, Rotom and Weezing immediately off the bat. It's as simple as comparing your Weavile stats on your 3DS to Showdown. Like, it's a simple mistake, but it was really costly that your Weavile set was not what you expected it to be. As such, you either needed to get a Swords Dance off or just sack the thing off. You lost your offensive pressure to Cresselia especially, and even just getting knockoff on things such as like Weezing with the Black Sludge. I like the Rotom Heat lead. That made a lot of sense, and it worked fantastically that what on his team switches into her Overheat. Exactly. So Life Orb Overheat worked wonderful. Got rid of something that could have put in a lot of work with Volt Switch and Thunderbolt, Intimidate. Could have done a lot of big number on your team, but you got rid of it turn one. Fantastic for you, not as fantastic for Scruffy Fox. I'd say he had good intellect. Calling out the AV Drapion, staying in for the pursuit with Latias, and then going for Healing Wish, which, in my opinion, it wasn't necessarily the best time for it. I guess if you're for Latias it was, but like for Rotom it wasn't, I guess. I think it was a bit premature. I think Latias could have gotten a bit more damage off on Drapion first. But for the Healing Wish into Rotom, which got rid of the Toxic and healed it all the way back up to full. That was good for it. But I think it was your optimal play. I don't think it was the best play. I don't know. But overall, I think he played well. I'd say check your stats is the big thing, because Weavile could have really shaken up that game.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this it was for the Torracats that Weezing got kills. A kill.
Yes.
That's an awesome
Weezing
thing.
killed Fortress.
Makes my heart happy. I love seeing Weezing put in work and get kills, because it was a defensive Weezing that was still able to get kills, and that's how I play. And Weezing's a happy little guy, even though he's full of pollution. So it's good to get him some kills.
He doesn't look happy.
It's happy, okay?
All right, I believe you. 252 return. Let's go. Moving on. Anything else to say? Sorry, I don't want to cut you off there.
No, I'm good. Yeah.
All right.
You covered it well.
Okay. Up next we have Jacob and the Green Bay Pikachus. This is one of my favorites, not because you won or anything, but because I told you so.
He's gonna get real mean.
You didn't know that yet.
Sorry, Jacob. It's just him.
It's just me, but also I told you so. I'm gonna totally rub that in, because I didn't like doing draft analysis, and so the fact that I got something pretty right felt good. It felt good.
Okay, to be fair, he didn't see the draft analysis before the battle.
He didn't, which is unfortunate. I don't think it would have saved him, but it was unfortunate. Looking at it, I liked Volcarona as the lead of choice, as it really dealt with the lead of most likely Bronzong. You were able to identify the heat proof, which meant Metagross was able to get it knocked out with the Earthquake, so good job spotting that. What is even the Psychic Berry called? I want to find this out.
Petaya? I don't know how you say it.
Petaya.
It's like Petaya or something.
No, that raises the special attack when at 1/4. Anyways, the Psychic Berry.
It's something with a P.
That worked really well, especially with the Z-Synchronoise, one of its niche moves for Jolteon. So I don't know if you expected that, because you also went for Flamethrower right after, but it was a good thing to have. I liked the Calm Mind Tapu Koko. I think it could have come in clutch towards the end. Rock Slide from Hackers came out, and I feel like that was your indication to not go Mandibuzz that turn. I think Alomomola straight away would have made more sense to me, preserving your Mandibuzz. And Wish made more sense against the Entei. I'm just picking at your play, I'm sorry, but Wish made more sense against the Entei, letting you get an extra Scald off, seeing as how you weren't doing much damage to begin with. Granted, he missed, so you still got the same amount of turns off, but like in the long run, I think your right play there was to go for Wish. And this is the I told you so part. Your team really struggled with setup bulky Mew, and you just let it get up to +4. This is where I think that Calm Mind Tapu Koko could have like at least tried to do something against it, or maybe Quiver Dance. Though with rocks up, Volcarona was super weak, so there wasn't much you could do about it, and that's the unfortunate part. So I definitely can see you trying to play around that now and really coming back from this. You're still number 12 because you did play well. There was just a few little missteps here and there, and an unfortunate team flaw. What about you, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, the hole in your team was exploited, and while you had some pretty good play for a lot of the battle, you made one massive mistake. You let Mew set up, and you were screwed at that moment. You pretty well, your out was to try to go into Coco, Calm Mind up a little bit behind, but alongside the Mew, and then hope you got a crit. That was pretty well your play. That was your out. Unfortunately, once you don't make that decision to try to do that right at the beginning, you're kind of sunk, and Mew did Mew things, and I'm sorry. I'm sure that scarred you a little bit, but
yeah,
I'm sure you'll bounce back. And yeah, don't let Mew do that again. Good thing you don't play it again.
That's the moral of the story.
Yeah, don't let Mew do that.
Correct. And I think that what they did was really well. Next up, at number 11, we have the Washington Red Skitty. For me personally, at number 10, who played the Tasmanian Toxicroak, bringing Electros, Latios, Crobat, Genesect, Porygon Z, and Primarina. What are your thoughts?
I thought the Red Skitty played fairly well in general. Obviously, the elephant in the room is that when the Porygon Z went to use Agility, it got Discharge Parrot, which is very unfortunate. It could have changed the outcome of the match. Almost definitely would have changed the differential in the match. It's unfortunate having your last win con / your out taken away to RNG, but that is the game we play, to use the cheesy but true line. I hope to see you rebound in week 2. I know that's especially hard to have in week 1. Obviously, losing the Scarf on Genesect was a bit of a problem, as that combined with Porygon Z were kind of your answers to Lopunny. And just like I said, when you lose your answers to Tapu Bulu, when you lose your answers to Mega Lopunny, you lose to Mega Lopunny. That's how it is.
Yep, which is très unfort. Yep. Très unfort. French for damn, that sucks. But yeah, Specs Primarina, never a bad bring, especially when it has coverage for like its switch in being Tentacruel this week. So bringing Psychic on that was always good. Soldew, I'm going to get it right this time, Coach, watch. Soldew on your end worked really well throwing off his calcs, because being a nerfed item, it's relatively forgettable now that it's around. So most people assume Specs, as Max Rapture did, unfortunately making him lose his Doublade. One thing you needed to do was look at the team and identify the win cons. For him, it was Doublade and Lopunny. Doublade dealt with. Lopunny, you gotta work your way around that. For your answers being like Electros, a bit defensive. I believe you're in full Fizz Def on that thing. I might be wrong. Primarina, being able to switch into like high jump kicks. You shouldn't probably switch it in. You want that thing at full health. But like being able to live a hit. Genesect, losing the Scarf was huge on that thing. And finally, the unfortunate Porygon Z discharge. Probably sucks hearing about it again and again, but that was really a big like moment of the game. Terra being a big thing in this week for some reason. I think it was possible to pull it back. Theory modding that would be quite an interesting thing, because here and there and this and that, but I think it definitely, at the very least, lost you differential, and that was very unfortunate. But I think that going into this, I think all I have to say is identify what his team works around and go from there. this week it was Lopunny and Doublé. So that's all I have to say.
All right, let's move on to number 10 on my list, who is number 14 on your list.
Yes, big jump.
The New Jersey Brobats.
New Jersey Brobats. Personal favorite team. New Jersey Brobats. You hate them. I'm going to just put it out there.
I don't like the team, but I'm going to get a little more love from the coach now that I've got them ranked so much higher than you.
Yeah, but they didn't hear it, but you said that they have the worst draft.
Yeah, well, they've heard it now.
Well, they heard it now, so yeah, sorry. You're thrown under the bus.
My general opinion of the match is what I'll say first. I thought it was well played on both sides. I didn't see a lot of issues on either side. And more or less they made the right calls. However, in my mind, it really came down to the better team of Mons winning. And I think the best example of this to me is that Lando without Sheer Force is just not doing enough damage, even with super effective coverage on the things like the Togekiss. It's using Sludge Wave, but it's just, without a boosting item and without that Sheer Force, it's just not doing enough damage that its good coverage and things like that are going to allow it to do what it needs to do. It really only has that Z move when it's holding a Z move, which it then missed when he didn't scout, or not missed, but it hit on the wrong thing when you didn't scout for it.
Force switch.
And end up using it on the Togekiss, which walled you once he knew for sure that you were special. It just kind of walled you completely, and Mega Venusaur was able to get out of dodge before that Psychic Z move went off. Yeah. And it really just, to me, was Empoleon went down way too easy as well, and it just kind of was one of those where, to me, you were facing, exaggeration, but like you were a UU team facing an OU team. As an example, where you just don't have quite the power, don't have quite the synergy, don't have quite the output that you need to have to win that battle. That being said, I ranked you a little higher because you did play one of the best teams I had ranked in the post-draft power rankings, and you did very well. I didn't have too many issues with your play, and I thought you had decent prep, and it just didn't work out for you.
All right. Personally, yeah, I agree with the majority of what you said. I agree with all of what you said. I just don't have it all written down. To cover my ass for why I have you at 14, I'd just say that, like, I put you where you fell, I guess. Like, you kind of, like, I had boom, boom, boom I had 1, 2, 3 at 1, 2, 3 where I wanted them, and then you just kind of fell where you fell. So, sorry. I still love you, young Brobat. You're my boy. Okay, anyways, Lead Lando. Great choice. It covered, with its great coverage, it covered everything. It didn't hit it hard enough, as we learned this week, but it did have great coverage. It was the lead of choice because no matter what he brought in, it could do what it has to do. I think what you did in terms of play is you made pretty straightforward plays, and not that they're bad necessarily, it's just that Jack Don Fnatic was able to capitalize on that, such as switching out with the Landorus, easy read for him. He went out. He was able to baton pass, see what you went out into, in that case, the Rotom Wash. You leaned on Landorus, I'd say, for both offense and defense. Offensively, it hit Sludge Waves on the Togekiss, things like that. And then defensively, you switched in for things like the Garchomp and the Mega Venusaur. And so I'd say that because of that, over time, you found Landorus being chipped, just residual damage. Same with Empoleon with things like Drain Punch, and just over time, the thing just getting chipped down. That's when you lose like one of the linchpins of your team, and that's really what it cost you. Fell Stinger, I like that. I want to see more Fell Stinger in the week throughout the season. Can't go wrong with Fell Stinger. Double hit, I don't understand. It's nice for breaking sashes, but Fake Push is the same goal, and then I believe a return is higher base damage. So I didn't understand that unless you want a double crit, which, I mean, it can. It's possible. And overall, I'd say that, like, I think that your defensive mons don't synergize well enough with the offense. And so maybe things like Wish Support would really benefit your team, or like a more bulky wall. I'm sure it's drafted, but like Tangrowth is just something that comes to my mind. But things like that, yeah. Shall we move on, Coach?
Yeah, let's move on.
Sweet. Your number 9, my number 9. Wow, that's crazy. Interesting match.
And also, let's lump these together. My number 8 and your number 8, they played each other, and we have the Chicago Shaman Sky at number 9 for both of us, and the New York Cosmog at number 8 for both of us. Let's just put it out there. Hacks!
Jesus. Hacks, indeed. Yes. Hacks, indeed.
Welcome to an RNG game. This is when it's at its worst.
Yep. It's fun, right? I'd say that, yes, like, if you look at it, especially for week 1, 1 through 8, you won your match. 9 through 16, you lost your match. We had to put you below the person you victored over just because, what's it called? It was hacks. The fact that it came down to a low roll on your part, despite all the hacks, like, I don't know. This is gonna sound rude, but I don't think you deserve to win. I'm sorry. Coming down to play, wow, that's really rude, Coach. I don't like what you're typing to me.
Hey, leave that into the hacks on both sides. Obviously, for the Sky, getting crit on the Gudra was very unfortunate, as otherwise it could have, at least theoretically, 1v1 the Clefable, which Dragon 1v1ing a fairy is a weird counter to bring, but it didn't matter. However, then Yanmega came in, and Yanmega, wow, yay for Yanmega. It went on a roll, air slash flinching things to death, and just being able to be a pain in the butt. And then, obviously, at the end, there was the low roll Chandelure got on the Mamoswine, which allowed it to live and then take out the Chandelure, which was the most unfortunate and most mattering point of the game. My one other note is at least there was no Ancient Power Boost for Yanmega. That would have just been salt in the salt on the wound.
Yeah, that would have definitely sucked.
But it was a very hacksy game that's very hard to judge, and both teams can go up and down from here.
Looking at it, Ditto against Crustle worked really well, toxicating the threat, getting Stealth Rocks, alleviating some pressure off of Hoopa Unbound. The Moonblast play, again, just, you don't have a Steel type. You just need to pick up a Steel type. That's the issue here. You need something for the fairies. So I guess Gudra was your best answer in that situation, but
what do you mean a dragon type isn't a fairy answer?
You're right. I'm sorry. Do I have it backwards? I'm sorry.
Of course, every dragon type counters fairy. That's just how it is.
All right. My bad. Okay. So had you not crit, your fairy answer would have gone down, or your fairy answer did go down, which is very unfortunate. Air slash, totally bad news. Bad news bears. I will have to call out the Cosmog for not running max speed Flygon because you're scarfed. So you might as well run max speed for situations exactly like this, because sure, you lived one hit, but like you wouldn't have to live a hit if you were just max speed Jolly. You lose the attack boost, but it's better than losing. At the end game is the biggest issues I have with the Chicago Shaman Sky. For starters, Kartana +1, you send in Ditto, which I do not agree with, because you have a perfectly good Infernape in the back, and you could theory that there's like, oh, a Chandelure switch, and what if it's Scarf? But you're not Scarf, you can switch out. There are a lot of other ways. Kartana against the weaker Kartana just didn't work out for you. Not only did you lose a differential point at that point, but you also lost a second out. Had the energy ball knocked out Mamoswine, you would have had a second way of taking out the Chandelure in a chance of speed tie. So playing your numbers there would have been better. I do not agree with sending in, because you have Kartana, and say you take it out, what do you do then, right? That just didn't make sense to me. And then the low roll, the unfortunate, well, depending on what side, the fortunate/unfortunate low roll, really just winning you the game. And like, I just I'm more than happy to move you up, but I can't do that if you hacks out your games. As for the New Year Cosmog, the fact that you were able to pull it back, even after all that hacks against you, you were almost able to pull it back, really does, it says a lot about your skills. So that's why we have you above.
All right, let's move on to my number 7, the Tasmanian Toxicroaks, which is your number 2, coached
Oof.
by Max Rapture. This is one of our biggest differences of the rankings, that in addition to the Brobats who we have already talked about.
Mm-hmm. Let's hear it. What do you have to say?
I have to say that it was only a 2-0 win, first off. I know differential is not everything. And also it was a 2-0 win that was assisted by getting a para. It was not necessarily a win because of a para. I do think that you probably would have been able to take it out, but again, that's theory modding way too hard. However, I do think that the Tentacruel was great. I thought the Max Badef AV with the knockoff teched on was great. Seeing a special attacker pull out that knockoff was really nice, even though you probably could have gone for hidden power or fire, but it was a nice middle ground play that worked out really well in the end by taking that scarf off Genesect. Meant that it was no longer a Lopunny answer. Also, speaking of Lopunny, Retaliate. I love Retaliate.
Yes.
That was beautiful. That was just wonderful. The one other negative I did have is do not forget about Soldu. I know it's very easily forgettable this gen because it got nerfed, which made it legal in things like this, and therefore people hadn't been thinking about it for a while, which is kind of backwards. When things get nerfed, you don't normally now have to think about them. But that's more of a comment to the rest of the league and not really to you yourself. It's a understandable mistake. However, it is one we have to take into account. But rest of the league, don't forget Soldu is a thing now. Be ready for that. And yeah, overall, I thought you did very well. But it didn't impress me enough to move you above this spot here. However, I do expect to see good things in the upcoming weeks as well.
Don't listen to him. I was super impressed. I thought this was a fantastic match. Coverage on Specs Pre-Marina, making that call, great choice. Tentacruel functioning really well as support with HP Fire for the Genesect. Knockoff, just getting rid of items. Intended for the choice specs on Pre-Marina, but getting the scarf off of Genesect, which was amazing. Dredagon, I liked as a defensive wall. Rough Skin Rocky Helmet. Unfortunately, no good reliable recovery, but at least this time, Dredagon does function relatively well with some coverage moves, so that worked out well. Soldu, yes, just to retouch on what Coach said. Easy thing to slip up on. Did cost you Blade, which was definitely sucked as it had a lot of potential at +2. Retaliate, great move. Great revenge killer. It functioned great. There's not much I can really say about it. It's Retaliate. It's amazing. The para, definitely in your favor. I think general consensus that you definitely probably could have still won the match, but maybe not at the differential you did. Staying in with Zapdos worked really well. Overall, you had no reason to switch because Retaliate. Differential may suffer, but the fact that you put winning guaranteed above differential, I think that's great. Even though it's just a 10% mischance on the high jump kick on Genesect, if the fact that you're not willing to risk it and even though you may lose differential, I think that's a great quality. That's one of the main reasons I have you at number 2, just because I like you as a battler. And overall, I think it was a solid game. Shall we move on to number 6, Coach Oak?
Yep. Okay, number 6, I have Vulpix City, and you have...
Oh, the boy.
who you have ranked at number 7. My thoughts on the match, first off, Mega Manectric is not a toxic lead, especially versus special attackers that are powerful, that it cannot intimidate. It is way too valuable, and that is not what it does. It is not a turn 1 toxic on a mon that is going to be special, hit you hard and OHKO, and also be able to Volt Switch around or overheat and then switch out. It's not a mon that's going to stay in and be toxic and wants to heal up and all this. That's not the mon Don't do that. Apologize to your Manetric. I'm sure you have in the locker room. It's ready to go for next battle. But this is that poor guy was hung out so to dry. But other than that, I thought it was a fairly good match, and I was impressed by what you did. And yeah, I overall I thought it was very solid. I thought it was a really good match to watch, and you got a nice 2-0 Theoremond win, which I think was solid, and I'd like to see how it goes from here.
Vulpix City, love the team. Rooting for you, bud. Definitely very, very disheartening to watch you sack off Metric like that. Not the best start. Not the best start. I think that you were, in your commentary, you were like, it could be choice specs and or life orb, and that would knock you out, but still, you shouldn't stay in even if it's not going to knock you out. It's still a lot of damage you don't want on your Manetric, even if you have Lunar Dance Cresselia. Being able to Volt Switch, which you should have done there, Volt Switch and T-Balls on a team that has no ground type would have just been phenomenal. Intimidating things, getting out. I think that I don't think it would have been a 2-0 if you kept Manetric around, especially because keeping a Manetric around would make it at least 3. But that's just math. Cresselia, I think it had move slot syndrome this week. I liked the set. Lunar Dance, Moonblast, Reflect, Light Screen. I liked the dual screens. I like that you had that in mind for Landorus. You had the end game in mind. You had your win con, Landorus, Rock Polish, cool. You want screens up for it, but I think that Cresselia would have functioned better with Moonlight over Light Play, or not Light Play, over Lunar Dance, just because it'd be able to heal up on things, preserve the longevity, be a better switch-in for things such as the Rotom Heat, and with the whole goal in mind of Rock Polish, Landorus, Therian, being able to have Cresselia recover reliably means that you can probably have your screens on longer, keeping them around for Landorus. So I think that you should have had Moonlight over Lunar Dance, but I think it still functioned well. Fortress, being a Steel type, you had great for the Poison type moves that he was throwing at you. Drapion with the AV dealt with Lottie very well, knocking off the Life Orb of Rotom as well. Pursuit Trapping, forcing him to go for the Healing Wish, because it was Healing Wish versus Lunar Dance. Interesting week. And overall, that being said, I think that this is as far as I can put you. Number 7, just because it's theory, moms. Like, you had Blaziken in, and like there were so many variables that like it'd be too hard for me to rank you based on that. So that's why I have you here, but I'm excited to move you up in the future.
All right, let's move on to my number 5 team, the Norwich Skitty and the Dawn
Fanatic.
As well as him and his terrible British accent.
I didn't say it was good. I said it was funny.
You never said it was funny either.
Well, I thought it was funny.
I think the Dawn Fanatic might.
I love you, Jack. I hope you know that. Don't hate me.
Anyway, hey, I'm the one with a mon named Dawn Fanatic in one of my playthroughs right now. Anyway, too much information. Skitty, yeah, I have the Norwich Skitty ranked at number 5, and the Dawn Fanatic is ranked at number 3 on Tsunami's list.
Yep.
Do you want to go ahead and go first?
Norwich Skitty.
Versus the Brobad.
This is why I usually have you go first. Okay. The Dawn Fanatic. Okay. Electivire, Scarfed, dealt with the Mega Beedrill very well, especially when it got the surprise Spell Stinger up. Togekiss was a great Spidef Wall, Force Landorus, which did nothing to you, especially with Kebia, and the Z move did less than the Sludge Waves. Jirachi. Hey, Coach.
What'd you break?
Hey, Coach.
Yeah.
My dog just brought a random broom inside the house. So, give me 1 second. Electivire, great bring for the Mega Beedrill with the scarf. Really scaring it out, especially when it had the spell stinger +3 boost. Togekiss functioning great as a wall, special wall for things like the Landorus Incarnate, especially. Really just like stopping that thing in its tracks. Even with the super effective Sludge Wave, it wasn't doing much. Drachi got great chip off. Didn't do as much as I'd hoped. It got rocks up and it like drain punched the Empoleon, putting it in range of something. So it functioned well. Greninja, just so much offensive pressure on that thing. The Dark Pulse, the Water Shuriken. Like I said with other players, like you know your win cons, and for you it was Greninja, and you played around that. Like you got everything in range. Like you weren't always concerned about killing. You were always concerned about, is it in range of a Water Shuriken? Garchomp with the Salac Berry, I wish that could have done more. Salac Berry is such a fun item. Unfortunately, Double Hit had other plans for it. And Venusaur bringing the defense to the team functioned just very well. I think that you really capitalized on the switches he made and like the obvious plays, such as the switch from Landorus going for the Baton Pass with Togekiss. Switching in Togekiss, even though you may not have been expecting the Z move, just taking it like a champ, doing less than the Sludge Wave, I think. You pivoted it around well, you kept Venusaur healthy, you got things in range for Greninja, you had answers to everything, and your prep was just super solid. I think you played fantastic. That's why I have you at number 3.
Yeah, I mean, I had you at number 5. I didn't have you that high. It was only a 1-0 win, as I kind of mentioned, for the Brobats against a team that I don't think is near as strong as yours. However, the Greninja play was wonderful. I bow to you, sir. Togekiss was really good. It probably didn't even need the Kepia Berry with how much that walled Lando, but it did really well. It did its job. You were able to get out. You were anticipating Z moves very well. And you didn't make any real mistakes. You did what you needed to do to make Greninja an absolute monster, which you did. And congratulations. I think it was tied for league lead in kills this week, if I'm not mistaken.
With the Megalop.
Yeah, which, I mean, Megalop is a top-tier Mega, and Greninja is, like, Tier 3, I want to say? With the I don't know. Doesn't matter. Tier 3 or 4. It's not a Tier 1 Mega. That's the point. Yeah, so good work. Keep it up. I want more wins from you. I want to see you keep moving up. Of course, I want that from all of our coaches. But, yeah.
At number 4 for Coach Oak and number 5 for me, we have the Iowa Haluchas, coached by Radioactive. What do you have to say about their match?
I think Z-Synchronize was a really good tech and really good prep. This was the week for it. I know we mentioned it as a tech in our post-draft, which you hadn't seen yet, so good on you for recognizing it and bringing it against Nidoqueen. It was the perfect lure.
The berry stopped it, but it still got off huge damage.
Yeah, it got off huge damage enough to do what it needed to do. The predicting heat proof and as Volcarona would be the bigger threat than Nidoqueen based on the rest of your team was really good prep. It's a call you're going to have to make correctly on Bronzong many a time this season because you are weak to ground and fire, so at least you made the right call this week, and good work. And your thoughts on Alola Mola going down is what everyone was thinking, so congratulations on verbalizing it. That was wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate that. However, do not click Rest in Electric Terrain. Yeah, that's about all I have to say on that one.
As for myself, Bronzong, Entei, Jolteon, Mew, Tapu Fini, Haxorus. Bronzong, greatest lead of choice in this situation all the time. Heat proof, again, right call. Volcarona is the threat. So getting up rocks and taking its hit fairly well definitely worked in your favor. It kept pressure up. The synchro noise, I docked you a bit because I didn't think that Jolteon was that great because it's got a shallow move pool of like Signal Beam, Shadow Ball, Thunder/Thunderbolt, and Synchro Noise. So I didn't like it, but you put it to good use this week. Definitely the week to bring it. Bronzong, it was a great pivot, walling things such as like the Metagross for a bit, getting the Earthquakes off. Haxorus, I didn't change, just spamming the Scarfed Rock Slide. I don't know, it didn't feel right to me. I would have definitely switched out once Alomomola came in, or even just gone for the Earthquake. That being said, also, just an idea, DD Haxorus accomplished the same goal there, and then some with an attack boost, and not being scarfed into Rock Slide. It's one less move slot, but it still would have worked really well, I think. Misplaying, bringing in Jolteon, it cost you a differential point, but like it wasn't that big a deal. Jolteon at that point was at such low health that it was going to be sacked off, I believe, anyways. The train mechanics were definitely something that need to be remembered, and Mew, perfect execution of Mew. You saw the whole bulky attacker set up. He couldn't break through it, and you just exploited it to its fullest. And so props to you for seeing that. That's all I really have to say.
Now, on to my number 3 team, your number 4 team, the Blackthorn City Frigadiers.
Correct, the Frigadier.
Yes, the Frigadiers. You did a really good job, got picked up a 3-0 win. You correctly realized that you could win the Poison-type hazard stacking war at the beginning by taking out Roserade, which is really the only counter to your Scarfbulu. And then you let Scarfbulu do Scarfbulu things. Congratulations, you have a Scarfbulu. Good job. I made that sound so much simpler than it was, but you played really well. Cleared the way for your win con, and it put on a ton of pressure and did what it needed to do to lead you to victory.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations. Good job. I want to see more. See how it goes from here. Weeks where it doesn't just take over.
Parting shot on Silvally was good momentum, even without the scarf. I believe you Darkinium Z. Good play going defensive with Garbodor. Great mid-ground. Pain Split functioned really well, making you able to 1v1 the Roserade. And I liked how you sacked off your Starmie because you'd rather have the intel of is it Scarf or not, rather than trying to make like a ballsy switch into Togetic to take the Earthquake or something. And so trading off intellect for intel for Amon, I think was very worth it. Scarfbulu, yeah, okay. Scarfbulu. Garbodor and Togetic, great defensive Mons this week. And you also had the perfect mix of offense, I'd say. Defensively, again, the Togetic, the Garbodor, offensive pressure in like Nidoking and Starmie, and especially the Tapu Bulu. And that's, in my mind, like, it was a great blend. And so that's one of the things why I have you ranked so high. Not as high as Coach, but I really liked your team. Great prep. Great execution.
All right, shall we move on to our next team with a big difference? My number 2 team and your number 6 team, the Dumfur Linoons. Yeah, we will disagree here. I think a lot of it is we will disagree about the momentum of the match. I really thought the Linoons had an incredible prep, and I thought they kept momentum on their side with switches and just were in control throughout pretty well the entire match, bringing HP Grass Heatran to counter the Seismitoad countering it, which was somewhat was a call you were able to make in prep, and it worked out very well. Bringing Sub Espeon was a really good call, as it meant it couldn't really be answered right away, as Blade Form Aegislash wasn't able to really take the hits it needed to, and it needed something to break the sub before it was able to really threaten that Espeon. Yeah, so I just thought it was really great prep, and I thought the momentum and feel of the battle, to me when I was watching it, was that it was always in your favor, and I thought you did a really good job at controlling the flow, and if I believe at one point you probably could have even, if you really wanted to risk it, go for the 6-0. So you're in a good spot, and I just thought you played and prepped extremely well, and I look forward to seeing more after this 4-0 victory.
I don't want Coach to slander me, implement you with lies, poison the well here. I didn't think it was a terrible match. I thought it was a great match. Do I think anything spectacular happened? No.
I didn't say it was a bad match.
Well, you're making me sound like a bad person, okay?
I didn't
You
say it
have
was
them
a
all the
bad
way
match.
at 2, and I have them at 6, all right? For one, again, there's that whole situation of, like, at the beginning, I don't think you had control. I think that the Deportivo Primarinas had it, and then they just kind of slipped up. I do think that you played very well. I liked the double when Aegislash came out, predicting it. It didn't come out, but like you're trying to think ahead, which is a great sign. I think sub Espeon worked really well there, getting the sub off in case he didn't switch out, and if he did, a Scolipede just went down there. Tangrowth was a great wall regenerator. HP Grass to exploit the Seismitoad, and Aegislash being the total pain in the ass it is that you were able to play around it really well. And yeah, that's why I have you at 6, because I'm impressed. I'm just not like, wow, that was really cool.
See, I was like, wow, that was really cool. So I had you higher.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Coach.
Hard-hitting analysis.
Great analysis. Wow, that was cool. Number 2. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I think that there's, again, like with the rest of the coaches, there's a lot of potential in this league, and you especially, I think you're probably going to excel. That's just a bold prediction there. Shall we move on?
I love how you took that bold prediction
from
me when I had them ranked higher and I'm more impressed. But okay, fine, that's fine. I can't say that now.
I didn't even hear what you said, so.
That's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
All right, it's fine. It's fine. I can't. I won't say that. Just continue.
All right, let's move on to both of our number 1 teams for the week, the Minnesota Wild Charge.
Wild Charge.
Yeah,
Sharp Dress Gaming pulling it out this week.
This was impressive. It was a 6-0, obviously aided a little bit by a 2-wave miss by their opponent. However, it probably didn't change anything but the differential in the match. Miracle was an absolute pest of a monster. Marowak came in and cleaned up. Vikavolt made a gutsy call. That was the right call, as well as being an absolute mid-game hole puncher. And Mega Mawile doing Mega Mawile things and causing a lot of problems, especially with those sticky webs that Smeargle set up. Smeargle also parting shot around to let the slower aspects of the team do a really good job. There was 3 fairly slow Mons that were doing the offensive work, and Politoed and Kinkter got to just sit in the back as a really good fast mode. In case things went a little awry, you had that completely ready. But those 2 cheered on from the bench while your 4 Mons were able to win the game. And I think that was really impressive. Good job. Obviously 6-0s don't come every day. Enjoy it. And look forward to seeing what you do in the weeks to come.
Polito's my favorite cheerleader with Paris Strong.
That is not the cheerleader we want.
That joke isn't as funny the second time you say it.
No, it's not.
It's funny for them. It's not for you. Okay. Smeargle, Vikavolt, no, Politoed, Marowak. Smeargle just putting in work, which is surprising. For such a support mon, it did what it did really well. It kept sticky webs up, spore on the Swampert and the Sylveon respectively, and parting shot to get good momentum, as well as keeping things weaker. Now that you have your sticky webs up, you're most likely going first. Mega Mawile worked really well. I mean, if I were to nitpick, I would have liked Sucker Punch for the Kadabra, but that's just nitpick. The miss, no lie, it was important. I don't know if it was you or your opponent, Carson, who stated that like it would have given Zygarde the chance to set up, but I don't think that it would have changed anything too drastically. I do think you were in great control of this match with like web support and stuff. And overall, I just think it was a solid match. Like I don't have too many notes because like you played really well, you kept control. You're always like a step ahead, I feel, and that's great. Any final thoughts, Coach Oak?
I think it was a fun week of battles, and I did enjoy analyzing it. I know this is probably not our best week of analyst. I'm sorry. We will work on getting my recorder to not hate us and not be what we're like 2.5 hours into a recording here, or something like that.
Yeah,
But
2.5 hours.
it's not that long of a video, I swear.
Especially when you lose half of it.
Well, we lost the whole thing the first time, and then, yeah, anyways. The good part of this is at some point you will get a blooper reel of us trying to analyze your matches, and that's going to be funny. So, hope you enjoyed our analyzation. I enjoyed your battles. I look forward to many more great battles to come. Keep it up, coaches. Good work.
Yeah, that being said, a lot of potential, a lot of exciting things to come, and very, very much so looking forward to see how the cookie crumbles and other analogies. All that being said, thank you so much, and win your battles.
Have a nice day, because Coach Oak said so. See you next time, everybody.